Welcome to the Critical Obsession podcast. My name is Mirella.
And I'm Zoe.
And today we're going to talk about episode 11 of Vice Versa. Finally, as I was watching it yesterday, I watched it yesterday to make my notes. I had a little bit of trouble remembering what the hell was happening, who were those people. I mean, as I was going, getting into it, I remembered how much I loved the series, and even it kind of prompted me to want to do a complete rewatch to start from episode 1. But I was thinking about you. How are you? Do you remember who they are? What happened?
It's funny that you say that because, you've watched it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
That's me being generous, before. And for the listeners who are just tuning in or who have been with us the whole time, have never seen this all the way through. When it first started, I was like, well, first off, I had tonight has been, because I listened to it today, so it has been a series of mini freakouts on my part because I tried to watch it on YouTube. And the episodes were suddenly just gone, no access from GMM, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they did.
But then I vaguely remember seeing that it was on some streaming sites, so that's probably if you're experiencing it missing. I don't think they always take it from every. I've seen before online and stuff where people have gone, "Oh, I can't watch that anymore. It's not available in my country." I think the last time I saw that was about Theory of Love, I think from memory, and. So I'm wondering if that's in my country, if it's not available on YouTube at the moment, it's because it's available on streaming sites here. So, it makes sense because why would they buy it if we can just watch it free on YouTube, So that was okay. I found it. I was able to watch it. I was like, do I watch the last 10 minutes of episode 10 to try and remember what happens?
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, oh, no, they usually have a previously, or not previously, but a little bit of the last bit. I thought if I start it and I'm like, I have no idea, I'll go back.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, while I was waiting for it to load, I'm sitting there going, I have no idea, because I'm, as we all know, really bad with names.
Oh.
And I think it took me about 4 or 5 episodes into this to fully nail down, because they have their names and then they have the names of the people they're, in, and then it's just confusing as fuck, right? So I was like, oh no, we're about to talk about them and I'm not going to remember their fucking names. Excuse my French. And so I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? And literally it started and I was like, oh crap, that's right. He went back. And I was like, wait, who is he?
It's funny.
But yeah, I got the names.
No, it's funny because you mentioned the names.
Coming back.
You mentioned the names, and my first sentences in my notes are Thalais, blah blah blah. Finally finding out what happened to Tess and Tan / Pacorn. Poon.
Well, I was just I've written on here Pacorn, and then I've just written a question mark. I'm like, who dis, and then I was like, oh, that's right, Quinn went back, and I was like, okay, yeah, Quinn went back. I'm still who is Pacorn?
Well, he told it to him, right? He mentioned it. It's Tan. I call Poon Tan, and you are Pacorn, or something like that, right? Thalais tells that to Tan / Pacorn when he comes back.
So Tan and Pacorn are the same person.
Yeah.
Nanon is Pacorn and Tan.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, all right. Because I was confused as fuck. I was still I was sitting there halfway through the episode, still going who the fuck is Pacorn? What?
Don't get the wrong impression. I'm sorry. Don't get the wrong impression about these sentences. I totally wrote this down on purpose because I wanted to have a reference for their name, because names, I forgot their names. I only remembered Poon. The rest of them was gone. Everything was gone from my memory.
No, I forgot all of them. Strangely enough, the only name I had in my brain was Tess, but then Tess is not mentioned for ages, and I'm like, I don't know. Who is Tess? I was having the same problem. And then eventually when Tess is mentioned, I was like, Tess!
Here you are.
it was just such a random moment. But yeah, so I have to say, like, so Pun went back, right? Which we knew, because that's what happened at the end of the last episode. But the way he almost, like, drowns, I don't think I was meant to laugh as much as I did. It's like serious moments, right?
It's a very serious.
I laughed so much because I think maybe if I had seen, like, if we had kept watching it consistently, I might have been more in the, like, you know, but instead I was just like, this dude hit him and he fell in the pool and everyone's going, oh my god, save him, but no one's, like, jumping in. I'm like, what the hell, right? Like, what is going on? And they literally had a conversation, I think, just before that bit where he was like, oh, don't really hit him next to the pool because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, look at that foreshadowing that isn't really foreshadowing because they've literally just told us what's about to happen. But, yeah, I laughed. I probably shouldn't have, but I did definitely laugh. And then I stopped laughing when we got the scene in the ambulance and he's, like, calling out for Tale and, like, when he realizes he's on his own and he's back and he's just, like, frantic and they have to restrain him. And I was like, oh, crap. It's too early in the episode to start crying.
I think it's one of the best moments from the series, actually. This moment of him waking up in the ambulance and realizing that he's back and he is, like, cold, empty, lonely, universe, and he cannot get to Tele. He's back to being himself.
I literally have written, oh, my poor baby. Which is literally the reaction I have to pretty much all of Jimmy's characters. Like, I think I've had that, oh, my poor baby, at some point in all of the characters that, you know, like, I've experienced him play. I've almost always had that response at some point.
And yet to see... We're yet to see how much of a poor baby he is in My Magic Property. Because I know you haven't started that one yet. You're waiting for it to finish, right?
No, yeah, I haven't watched any of it, but I assume it'll come because, like, literally every other drama that he's in, I'm always like, oh, my poor baby.
There has been one moment where he just was looking into nothingness and started crying already. That was really, really good in My Magic Prophecy. So I can see it coming.
So
yeah,
basically I'm going to have that reaction. Yeah, I kind of, you know what? I feel like I would feel ripped off if I didn't get it at this point because I expect it. I expect it from him. I'm like, please hurt me.
Yeah, but about that scene, isn't it so representative of his life? His old life, to wake up from, in a claustrophobic space, in an ambulance, surrounded by people that he doesn't know, being watched, yes, but alone, and getting restrained and screaming for Tale.
Having no agency of his own. All of it was just, Yes. They did a very good job, like, honestly. As I said, that's, like, I went from literally, like, laughing out loud to, like,
Yep.
Like, if someone had been filming me, it probably would have been really funny for them. For me, not so much, but for them, it probably would have been quite amusing.
Yeah. The episode opened with Tale and his worst fear being realized, right? Remaining alone in that world, being basically abandoned by Pun, even though he did not do it on purpose, of course. And then we switch to Pun and his worst version of everything. And then we get to the title, Real Red.
Yeah. So I have some stuff to say about the title, but I also, before we move on to that, I do want to just say, before we go any further, this episode did not go at all anywhere where I thought it was going to go.
Oh, really?
And yeah, like, I mean, like, general themes and stuff, yes, like, I'll get to that. But I, like, and this is based off of, like, guys, this is based off chaotic messages, like, with animal noises that I think about every now and then and giggle about, that Morella had left me when she was watching this, maybe, like, the second time or something. And she was just like, "Oh, it's spoilers," and then she'd be like so excited about something, and all I'd hear was like, "Is that it?" And then like a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, "I have no idea what you said for like half of that." But I'm glad you're having fun, you know. And then
The
and
funny
then
thing is
other
sometimes
times,
if she asks me right away what I said, I usually know because I just said that. I just went through that. But if she asks me like 2 days later, I have no idea what happened in that message.
yeah,
I don't know
like,
what
well,
happened.
yeah, I know. Well, the same, you know. Like sometimes I think you said to me there was one the other day. I think I recorded through the car, and you said to me I didn't get that, and I knew same thing. I knew straight away because I had just recorded it. But you asked me about one other one, and I listened to the message like 3 times, and I still have no idea what I said. I was like, was that? I don't know if it was in English or in like human. I don't really know what happened there.
Banana.
But yeah, that's right. But it was just, I think, like between the, as I said, between the incoherent messages of flailing and epic joy that I got from Morella, and also just like cryptic stuff you said to me, I think, while we've been watching this, like where you were like, I'm not gonna spoil you, but like I'm just gonna like give you this little like sprinkle of dust of like intrigue to keep you interested.
Oh, I did that. That sounds so cool.
Yeah, and then I'm watching it and I'm thinking, I had in my mind, I think, a picture of how this episode went. Because, of course, episode 11, as we know, if you are a BL fan, is usually the, like, pain, torture,
Separation.
pain, joy. Yeah, the separation, yeah. And so I was expecting it to be slightly traumatic. I was expecting it to be painful. We already knew that they were going to be separated. I knew from something that you said way early on, not when we started recording this, like way before that, because I think like the general consensus was before we started doing this, I had zero interest in watching this show. Like I'd tried and I was like, nah. And then you kept trying to coax me. And then I think you were like, you're never going to watch it anyway. So I'm just going to, you know, like tell you bits and pieces. And so like the stuff I had this picture in my mind, you know, about how it was going to go. And the only thing really besides like the stuff that the most, you know, obvious, you know, assumptions, was like the hat showed up in the episode. And I only know that because it was like, I swear to God, guys, she sent me about like 10, like kind of like not crying, but like really excited and really kind of like enthusiastic messages about this hat in this episode.
Oh yeah, the hat.
Yeah, the hat. And so I knew the hat had to exist, like was coming. That was basically it. But yeah, so just like moving forward as we talk through it, there were moments where I was like, I thought this was going to happen, and then it did happen. You know, like those, I would have thought this was, and stuff like that. But I don't know. I had this whole other like fanfic version in my mind about what happens. Although maybe some of that will happen in the last episode, because obviously, like, it's not over. There's still another episode.
For example, what did you have in your mind?
Well, I don't know why, but hang on. Maybe let's go through it first, and when we get to the end, I'll say what I had in mind, because it kind of like otherwise, we go out of order otherwise. But yeah, the title. Let's go back to the title. So, Real Red. That's an interesting title for me, considering there's like almost zero red in this episode.
What do you think?
There's like
means?
Almost.
And it's not only red; it's real red.
Yeah. So it's interesting because we know like the pink was for the love. There was a lot of pink in this episode. Like they both were kind of like specifically Tale was surrounding himself with pink. Like even like, you know, pink shirt, the hourglass. There was something else that was pink. I can't remember. There was a couple of things that were pink. You know, we had the pink note, like envelope that the note was in, the one where it said about how he fell in love with him in the glass house. Oh, spoiler, we'll get to that in a minute. But there was a lot of pink on his side. There was some pink as well for Quinn. I just can't, in my mind, I'm not picturing up what the imagery was for that. But I was very aware that it was only little bits of red.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I honestly I didn't think overly much about it because but I did notice that it was for me it was, you know, I guess, you know, I mean, I guess it depends on what you think red means. Like we talked about colors and stuff before, because obviously a huge part of this is the fact that Talo is a colorist and stuff, and you know, generally red either like represents rage or passion or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
those sorts of things. So I was kind of like, it doesn't to me fit in this episode. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure what they're going for, but I'm sure you have some sort of insight that you're going to share with me now.
Okay. I do have a thought, and
Mm-hmm.
I just came up with it. But I'm thinking in this plain world, because
Mm-hmm.
you can notice that it's not as colorful, it's not as neat and beautiful and like perfect as the other world, right?
Yeah.
It looks kind of plain and dull, but
Mm-hmm.
they're driven in this episode by the red in their lives. And for me, red here represents um, pain and urgency and their love
Yeah.
for each other. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, yeah, this is what drives them. This is what puts them into motion here in this episode. What keeps them afloat, what makes them feel
Yeah.
intensely.
Yeah. I guess you could say that it represents passion, because
Mm.
as you're saying, like their passion for each other is why they don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also frustration, I feel like,
Pain,
too.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like red is a great color for frustration. But it was interesting that in terms of like the way that they had done the show previously, we got these representations of like the emotions within the color within the scenes, and there wasn't a lot of it. Like I kept looking, I kept waiting for it, because I thought, oh, any minute now something's gonna happen and there's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
like red everywhere, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
And the only kind of really significant pieces of red that I remember, and I'm like, you know, maybe I missed it because when you get focused, you know, you get distracted by other things. So
No,
like
not
maybe I
really.
missed something,
Mm-mm.
but I did notice there is some red in the scene, and it's like maybe this is why it's here too, because there's some red in the scene where um he finds the hat. So he can't. So Pun comes home. He's
Mm-hmm.
clearly got a box of stuff that came from fans or whatever, um, and he puts it in this cupboard, and in this cupboard, or this shelving unit, and in the shelves there's like a couple of big, like, you know, plushy bright red, you know, hearts, like
Mm-hmm.
cushions almost, and a couple of other things that are red, like that are, you know, love shaped, I guess. um and so you have these kind of like that is the most red that I remember seeing, honestly. And
Mm-hmm.
you have these I guess representations of love, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have Pun find the hat, which is like another visual representation of love.
Yeah.
I'm like this silence. I'm like, right?
Well, I don't
I'm
know
like,
if
are
it's
you
a
with me?
representation of love for him. Maybe it's
Well,
a
a
representation
reminder.
of Tale. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a
Yeah.
reminder. Yeah, once of course he realizes, like there's a moment where it becomes that, but it's like it's almost like the surroundings are telling you that something, like a reminder of love, like maybe not for him necessarily, but for us, is about to appear.
And
Um,
I was also thinking about the word real, because
mm,
as you said, there's not much red in this episode. So what makes it real? Because if we decide for ourselves that the red is just let's say not a metaphor but like a symbol, but that is used here in the
mhm.
title, that represents their love, their passion, their pain because of the separation, then it comes from within. So what makes it real is the fact that it is real for them and it's not for anyone else.
Mm. I also wondered if the use of the word real was like a deliberate kind of, because like play on words, I guess, because
Because it's not actually real.
this has become a very, like, this version of the world that they, well, Tale especially has been like desperate to get back to, is now an extreme harsh version of reality.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that safe space that they had created for themselves together. This is not, it hurts here, it's painful. Like, it hurt there too, but they had each other. Like, here suddenly they're on their own, and this, like, everything is bad, and it's so, like, this is their reality. Like, like, it's like the old place was like a fantasy land, almost. Yeah.
And they were tied to each other there.
Yeah, now
but
it's back to reality.
The red string between them is cut now, and they must just rely on their feelings and memories to get to each other again.
Yeah, so I think there's probably, like, potentially a bunch of all of those things. I mean,
yes,
who will know unless someone's talked about it?
But it's good.
It's involved in the show.
It's a nice way to call it, because it makes you think, like, why is it red? Why is it real? It's a cool decision, I think.
Yeah, I do. Red. I mean, the fact that it's different. I mean, the other thing is as well, I think you did hit the nail on the head a little bit when you said, like, this version of their reality is less colorful, it's less pretty, it's less whatever. And it is, like, when they come to the place, the colors are everywhere. Like, that is something that sets that place apart. And also, I feel like it's interesting too, because before Tale went to the other, like, place, he was obsessed with the colors around him, like, to the point where he was, ignoring friends and, getting himself into a position where he would drown at night, and, just
keeping
like
himself distant from experience, from life.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, and now you come back to this place and there's less color, there's less everything. So the absence of the red as well, like, kind of fits that too. It's, so yes. But I do think it was very interesting, because it was funny. We had the little reminder bit at the beginning where it's like, who's Pecan? And I'm like, I have no idea. And then you had, the little bits at the beginning, and then you had the whole time that's happening, I'm going, okay, well, what's the episode called? I was waiting for that bit. And then I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. But yeah.
Yeah. So we see Tale talk to Pecan, and Tale asks him how he got back, and he tells him that, so I dreamt this place, I went to this place, and then I fell into water, and I woke up here. And what Tale really cares about is Poon, so he wants to find out who Poon was, because now he is terrified that he was going to, lose him forever, because he does not even know who he is, he doesn't know his name. And Pecan
it's funny, because I literally have a sentence written down where I've written, why wouldn't he ask him his real name? Because, like, they have a whole conversation before the bit where and I literally wrote this down, and I was like, that would be my first question. What was your name in the other world? Like, tell me everything.
Yeah.
And like, he asks him about the dream and all that sort of stuff. And then I literally just finished typing that up, and he was like, and then he asked him, and I was like, oh, of course he did. Otherwise he would have been dumb.
And the name was in the sand. And there is such a beautiful moment. Did you notice that he was, like, touching the sand? He was grabbing it, slipping through his fingers. It was so nice. It's like he was touching the last thing that Poon touched. It's very romantic.
Yeah, I love how he said, I love how Pecan said to him, I think he was trying to tell you. And it's like, he hadn't even seen it, It was just like, because I can't quite remember, at the end of episode 10, Tale falls asleep first, doesn't he?
Yes. Boone wants to tell him his name, but Tale falls asleep, so he instead
He writes it in the
writes it
sand.
in the sand. Yeah.
Mm. I'm
Yep.
like,
So
wow, that makes it way more. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is that moment feels more to me now that I've joined those two things together. Whereas because it had been so long, I had kind of forgotten like the context. So context is important, people. You know, watch your shows, binge watch your shows. It's good. Don't let anyone tell you not to binge watch your shows. It's good.
it is good. It's also good to wait, but it's also sometimes good to binge watch. Binge watch.
It is. I feel like it's good to look. Like waiting is great. Like it's not, because it feels like absolute torture sometimes. Like I'm experiencing that at the moment. With a couple of things, but like I feel like there is we're so spoiled these days with this instant gratification of streaming and like oh, all the episodes have been released, and you know, like, and then it's like, well, what am I, you know, we have the
and then you
same
move
thing.
on.
Sorry. Yeah, you do. And we have the same thing. Sorry, vice versa listeners, I'm going to mention Revenge Love. But we have the same thing with Revenge Love. Like, they dropped all the last, like, I think, 5 or 6 episodes all pretty much at once, or, like, within days of one another, which was great at the time. Like, it was so good because we were, like, so over the divorce era, and we were just, like, we wanted happy stuff. But, like, then you're like, well, now what am I going to do on a Monday night? Like, you're just like, I have no idea what my life is now.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that aspect of it. Yeah, the enjoyment and everything is drawn out if you're, you know.
And it gives you some time to process the information, to sit with the characters, with their actions, to think it through, to come up with ideas, to obsess, to make art, to write meta fanfics, to talk with your friends, to theorize. So yeah,
to do a podcast.
Exactly. Like, it can be so fun to wait.
I think also because of the format, like a lot of people, like when I say people, I mean like producers, directors, writers, whatever, script writers they have written the show to be viewed a certain way, like to have these breaks in it, to build anticipation, to build like tragedy, to build like, you know, all of those things, tension, you know, and so that like sometimes when you're, you know, the character that you're so invested in is going through these things, you're also now going through that as well. Like you're going through this, like, you know, heartache or like whatever, you suffer from it a little bit like they do, so you appreciate it more when they get the payoff or like whatever. So it is good, I think, initially to watch shows like that if you can, but then it is fun once you've already seen it to, like, if you, especially if it's a comfort show or something, or you just, you know, you haven't watched it for a long time and you're like, this deserves a rewatch, to like binge it, because you do experience it in a different way. Like I do feel like you catch things that maybe you missed because of the difference. You do your focus is different, you know, things like that. So I mean, you always catch things on a rewatch anyway. Like there is just no way like that everybody catches everything, like all of the nuances of every single episode of every single drama. It's just impossible to do so, especially if you have clever writers and clever actors and clever directors. You just don't, you know what I mean? Like there's shows that I, you know, I've watched a million times. Well, not a million times, that's exaggeration, but you know, like a lot, to the point where I know like lines and stuff out of them. And they're old shows. I've watched them, you know, many, 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 many times. And then every now and then I'll watch like an episode or something and I'll just be like, I have never seen this before. How did I not notice this? Like, this changes everything. You know, it's like a really kind of like interesting nugget of whatever, like character development or like whatever. And you've just gone, well, this makes so much more sense now. Like something maybe that bothered me in the past about the show for whatever reason, or the character, like now makes sense. And I'm like, how did I miss that? And why is no one else talking about it? And of course, it's a show that's like been over for years, so like no one probably even, you know, no one is talking about it, just me. But like that happens, I feel like, with, you know, stuff that you've only seen a couple of times as well. You'll find something and you'll be like, wow, well, this makes sense.
This is why you will need to rewatch vice versa when we finish. I'm very curious what else you'll catch on a second watch. I'm sure you'll catch something that I have not noticed. It's gonna be really fun for me.
Probably.
Let's get back to the
well,
episode.
I mean, as I said, I kind of feel like, as I said, I already kind of feel like I missed a bit just by not putting those two things together. When I was watching it, I feel like I would have enjoyed that scene more if I'd remembered that Tale had gone to sleep first. Because I only just realized, like, when we were talking, I only just remembered it then.
Yeah, so we get the funniest scene where Pacorn meets the friends again, gets bitch slapped up with that sound.
So funny. That bit was so funny. I was like, the way he just kept getting slapped. I love Neo so much. Like, he's just such a great comedic actor. I was like, it's perfect. I
wonder if they improvised that.
Yeah, so funny. I feel like I need to tell you this bit here because it's funny for later on. I mean, it's not funny, but like, it's kind of funny. Well, it's kind of, it ties into sort of like a little bit of frustration that you've had with me, I think, from pretty much like the beginning of us doing this, is I kept talking about the other characters. I kept talking about
Tess and Pacorn.
Tess and Pacorn. And you kept going like, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, of course it matters. Because in my mind, I couldn't see how it didn't matter, you know. And it's so funny because here I wrote like, I know I'm not meant to care. This is basically my notes. I've written like, I know I'm not meant to care, but I want to know what happens when the other two switch back. Because, you know, especially like not so much like what happened in the real world, let's say, because clearly nothing really. Now I know that, but like in this new, like in this other world, you've got as far as all of their friends anyway, Pacorn and Tessa's friends, they're like kind of together, you know, they get along, they work together, all their friends are now, their friends are dating, you know, and like suddenly I was like, how is this going to work? You know, like I'm curious to see how this works. And so now it's funny to me. And now I get your frustration with me when I kept talking about it. Because the reality of the situation is Tess did not change at all. Tess is a dick.
Tess is like a kind of worse version of Purin, because he has a family who has his Tale, but it does not necessarily value it, maybe. I don't know. I'm just talking, but yeah. This is what I...
Yes, Tess is a dick. There's literally no character development whatsoever. He was a dick before he left, and he's a dick when he goes back. And he was the kind of person that, you know, it's interesting because you had Tale basically saying, you know, that you have to live this life a certain way so as not to like basically ruin it
for the other person. And he tried so hard, but the person who took his body did not try at all.
No, and like so like he's left Tessa's life in a really good place, you know. His family are happy with him, he has a good relationship with his parents now. The brother, he's a good relationship with the brother. The friends are all happy, you know.
The career.
Like, everything was good. And, career, that's right. And skills, and I think even, like, he managed to get him to, like, graduate from college. I can't remember what the outtake of that was, but I think he did manage to actually get him to pass. Like, there was a bunch of stuff that he did. And then, you know, poor Tale goes back and, like, he's been fired from his job, or like he quit his job. His family are like, you've been a monster. His friends he hasn't spoken to and whatever.
Yeah. And
it's just, and then what he does with Pun, and it's just like, you're a dick. Like, no one, like, I feel so sorry for Pacorn, because I'm just like, you're not getting the best version of anything. Like, it's like, it's so weird to me that he would not, like, I guess, once again, I'm now focusing and I'm talking on them, but, like, I'm frustrated because you have, clearly, Pacorn would have learnt lessons. You can see he's learnt lessons. He did the same thing the others did. He tried to make the best of the situation
Mm-hmm.
of Fun's life. He didn't make it worse. He, you know, maintained it and everything. You have he's come back. He's come back to like a really good situation. Like he was struggling in that world before, and now he has friends and a career that's like quite successful, and you know, a company, well, because they've got that, they created their friend credits or whatever, and you know, like just everything is pretty good from his perspective, and he's clearly, you know, like he values the friends, he values his life, he, you know, like whether or not there was any big lesson learned, because whether or not he really needed to learn a big lesson, who knows, but clearly there was something, there was obviously an attempt to give him some sort of something of value. Whereas you have Tess, who's like, he didn't learn anything, you know, when
and
he went there.
He relied on the others to get back, even.
Yeah, that's right. He was just existing.
And this is why it makes it kind of obvious that it's not for everyone, you know. The magic recipe of going back is not love for everyone, as it was for Tess and Talay and Poon.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess as well, the other lesson, the other side of this as well too, is he had for Tess, Talay's world was probably better for him because he didn't have the drama with his family. He didn't have the stigma of his past mistakes attached to him. He didn't have
well, he made new
like
mistakes.
A bunch of stuff. Oh no, he made new mistakes. Oh yeah, he did. But I mean, like, he had a bunch of really bad ones attached to him in the other place. Remember, like, he'd go places and like people would want to hit his face because you know, of everything that he had done. But like, so he didn't have that. He didn't have the pressures of like being, you know, expected to, you know, excel or, you know, money, family, whatever. Didn't have any of that. Instead he had Talay's family, who were like, come across as very sweet, caring, and not that demanding, honestly. And just, you know, he basically got left alone just to like live his existence. So I feel like he was kind of just coasting, and that probably would have been way more comfortable for him than going back. Like, so going back necessarily might not have been a good thing. The only benefit to him going back is he would have had his money, which I'm sure he was like, obviously a big thing considering, you know, money was a thing. But like, other than that, there's not really any sort of lesson learned or value given to his character from having this experience, which is interesting. That, because I must admit, I did assume that both sets, like, I got why there was focus on Talay and Hun in particular, because it would be too messy to focus on all four characters.
Okay, but like, I have one idea.
Yeah.
He did not communicate with his family in his real world, basically, at all, right? I'm not sure what it was with his brother, but I think there were some issues with his brother as well. Like, he had a brother originally, his original world. Yeah. Right? But in this one...
Yeah. His brother works for the company. He's a
director.
In this
one, it seems like they're okay. Like, he's okay with the mom. He's not the sweet kind of guy. He's not Talay. But, you know, it still looked like they loved and accepted him. Like, the brother was afraid of him, but he did take his money, you know, not too afraid not to touch the money. You know what I mean? Yeah, so maybe that was his lesson to learn.
I feel like I think that's probably the only good thing that he did, was that he maintained the family relationship. And I feel like probably that was because, for two reasons. One, it was totally different to his own family situation. And also because, like, but I feel like it was more about them than it is about his behavior. Like, I feel like the mum was just really sweet and accommodating. I feel like, you know, like, there was a couple of things she said, you know, when Talay came back, he wanted, I can't think what the dish is, but it's with basil, something with basil. And she was like, oh, you've been telling me for, like, you know, the last 2 years about how you hate this.
I'm like, I cannot believe now. No, I'm defending him.
Sorry?
I cannot believe now I'm kind of attempting to defend him.
it's funny. It's funny. Yeah, that we're even engaging in the conversation is funny. But yeah, like, so she basically says, and she says it in a loving kind of like accommodating kind of way. Like, it's just like, she's just that mom, you know, who went, oh, he's not himself, but like, he'll come good eventually, you know, like, he's just let him be and like love him. Like, that's, and I feel like that's a huge part why the relationships was sustained in that way. But I think in my mind, when I started this show and I understood the premise behind it, I guess I just assumed that both parties would have to learn something to be able to come back. But then it made sense a little bit later on, I guess, because there is that person who came back that didn't want to come back. Like, they'd left like they had created like another life in the other place, and so they were quite happy where they were, and to come back was like the most horrific thing that could ever happen to them. So, you know, and we saw that fear in Pun as well, but that was more about that, you know, that was more about his past existence and not wanting to go back to that, and then later on not wanting to leave Tale. Because if we go into the reveal that happens in this episode where with the little slip of papers where they made their wishes, or they made their like confess their secrets or whatever on the tree, the friendship group, they did that thing, and then he gave it to Tale and basically said Tale is the only one who's allowed to read it, and it said on it, I fell in love with you in the glass house. Well, that happened like 10 minutes after they met. I mean, it didn't, but like, it happened very early. So like his resistance and like, you know, not wanting to go back was tied into Tale like almost virtually from the beginning, as well as his own like not wanting to go back to the existence he came from. But I don't know, I just, as I said, I think that's why I kept fixating on the other characters as well, because I was like, you know, what are they like, what happens if, you know, you've learned your lesson but they haven't done theirs yet, or like whatever. Like, I was kind of like thinking there must be some sort of, you know, something in that, and of course there wasn't, and that like, there didn't need to be like for this to be a good story or anything. It's just that was my preconceived like idea of what was happening, and that's why I kept talking about it. And it was so funny to me though, because you were like, it's not important, and then it wasn't until this episode that I was like, it's because he's a dick and learned nothing. I was like, oh my god, he's just a dick. Like, he's a dick in every version of himself, basically.
Yes.
Like, he was given opportunities to, you know, whatever. And I wonder if they, and once again, I'm going into their storyline again, but like, Pakon and Tess clearly met in the other world, because when Pun turned up and he was like, you know, he looked at him for a second like, what the fuck do you want? You know, and then he was like, oh, wait.
Oh,
Pun?
yeah.
You know, like, are you, you know? So they definitely had interactions, but they clearly weren't really good ones, because nothing obviously had changed with that. Because when he was hugging him and he thought he was Pakon, he was like, what?
Well, they mentioned, right? They mentioned that Tess became Pakorn's, meaning kind of like Pun's manager, and he somehow screwed him over and caused him financial loss and other stuff, probably.
Yeah, they did that, but I wasn't sure if they meant... See, this is the thing that I'm curious about, because they did do that, but it's not specific.
What do you mean?
So, well, like, did that happen when, like, Pakon was Pun, or did that happen after Pun came back? Because Pun was like all about keeping in contact with Tess in case Tale came back.
No, it happened when it was Pakon and Tess, and well, it happened because they realized they were there alone. They were from the other world somehow. I'm actually curious how they found each other, how they knew that they...
But it's not specific. It doesn't say, like, when that happened. Like,
well, it's clear it is clear that it happened when Tess and Pakon were in place of Tale and Pun, because there's no other moment in time it could have happened.
No, but it could have, because hang on, wait.
Oh, you mean if, like, for example, Pakon was became Poon's manager? I don't think he would have, because
No,
Poon was the one who looked for him.
I'm referring to the fact that
I mean,
Poon
Mhm.
and it's acknowledged that in the other place, like the colourful place, let's call it,
Yeah.
it was a month. It was a really hard, horrible, long month for Tale, but it was a lot longer. It was like almost a year or something for Poon. The timing is different.
What?
Yeah, because he says it was like 10,000 whatever, and the other one, and Poon says, for me, don't forget, for me it was like 250,000 whatever, like in time.
I do not remember that. I did not catch that. Really different. The time moved differently
so when
for
they're
them.
sitting on the bed, so when they're sitting, something else happened like earlier on that made me think maybe the timing was moving differently. But
Are you sure?
Yes. So in the scene where they're sitting on the bed towards the end of the episode, it was basically the end of the episode.
Okay, let's move on for now, and our
but watch it, because he says,
our listeners, maybe they'll respond.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, "What the hell is wrong with you, Mirella? How come you've never noticed that?" Or which is very
on
unlikely,
your many
viewings,
how did you not trigger this? But he basically says it was a lot longer for him. So
but
so I guess.
All right, so let's get back
specific.
to what happened in the episode. I like the fact that their experience in their respective worlds is so different, because, for example, Tale does not hang out with the friends anymore. He cannot be around Pakorn because he's not Poon anymore. So he is focused just on getting back, right? While Poon wants to spend all his time around Tess because he wants to watch his pretty boyfriend's face, but also because he doesn't really have a home there, right? And the closest place to a home for him is near the image of the person that he loves, just basically hanging on the possibility and on the wish and hope that he will get back to him. What do you think about this?
Look, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because as far as Tale is concerned, that part of his life is done. You know, Pakorn is back, so he's with the friends. His desire now is to be where Poon is, which is funny because basically they have the same desire, they're just going at it different ways. You know?
Yep.
It's interesting, though. I guess you could say, like, I feel like he felt like those people were his friends as well as, you know, well, because they were his friends, but, like, I feel like he's aware of the fact that that's not his life, or is not his life anymore, you know, or not the life that he wants. And so, because when he does come back, like, you know, he work, besides trying to get to Poon, like, pretty much straight away, he starts checking the things off the box then, you know, like family, job, friends. Like, he's trying to rebuild what is his life, you know, and of course the core center of that is Poon.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah, and there's something for him to do. Like, for Poon, he cannot. The only thing he can do is wait and hope for.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, the bit where Tale, like, leaves the others and everything, and I feel like he's on a mission. It's like he's like, I have a dream to have a dream. You know, which has pretty much been his mission from the entire time since he first got there. Like, he's been wanting to dream and go back, like, the entire time. But he's now, like, in the past he was able to go, well, you know, like, I have to still maintain. Like, I have to maintain while I'm waiting to dream, you know, while I'm dreaming to dream, sort of thing. But, like, without Poon there, he's like, he's more proactive about it. He has to get to the place so that he can dream for the dream. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting the way they've done it. But as you said, like Pun basically has no options. He can he's waiting is the only option.
Mm-hmm.
And waiting and being close to Tess, even though Tess is a massive, ginormous dick, it's still like he can imagine what it's like. It brings him comfort to see him, even though he's never seen his face before, which is so like weird. Like in the concept of thinking about it. Do you know what I mean? Because you can definitely be in love with a person's like soul, if you believe in souls, or like what intrinsically makes that person
essence,
you know, without having their essence, without having to you know, necessarily be physically attracted or like any of those things. These things don't necessarily have to matter. You can, it's why people who are in love and you know something happens to the other person, whether maybe it's like a major accident or something and there's scarring or there's like whatever, and like it changes nothing for them, because when they look at that person they see the person they love and that's it. And like I feel like that's, you know, like he's able to, you know, like if he even when Tess is saying dickish things, it's like he's still like, it's in my booze voice, so it's okay. I'm just ignoring what you're actually saying and just listening to the words. Like, he's just like, this is my happy place right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and plus he gets the hat back, which I'm sure he's going to sleep with. Imagine it's Tale.
It's funny, before we get to the hat, I will say, you know, like earlier I was talking about things that like I expected to happen. So, you know, like I was waiting for them. So I was waiting for, maybe I was being impatient. I don't know. But like, you know, I was waiting for the bit, or like when Tale didn't immediately ask Pakorn, who is he? I was like, why haven't you asked? You know, and then we had the bit where Pun goes looking for Tale, because I was like, what are you doing? I was like, in my mind, based on like what you had said and like what I thought was gonna happen, I thought he wasn't, and because he hadn't told him who he was and all this sort of stuff, I was like, I didn't think he was gonna go looking for him. Like in my mind, I wanted him to, and even like after the scene in the ambulance, it made no sense for him not to. But I was starting to think, like, is he going to go looking for him? Like, what's going on? And then I've literally go, oh, he did go looking for him. And then like my next comment is Tess, ha ha ha. So I don't remember what exactly it was. I think it was the way, like he was like, you know, what the hell do you want, sort of thing. I think it was his reaction to that. Oh no, that's right. The bit where he says to him, after they've already met, and Pun calls Tess on the phone and he's talking to him, and he says about like how he just wants to hear his voice or something like that, and Tess says something like, why don't you just come and stare at his face like a like lovesick fool or something like that. He says, like, that's not it, but it's something like that. And Pun's like, well, actually, and like just wanders in. And I was just like, and Tess's face is like, really? But it's like, dude, you just literally asked him to do that, so you know, be careful what you wish for and all of that.
Your permission.
Yeah. And then the post-it note, like when the post-it note happened, I was like, never write anything important on a post-it note because they don't stick to fucking shit, right? The only way you keep in a post-it note somewhere is if you get a bunch of duct tape or something. Like, it's just, do not use a post-it note, people.
Or
write it on the wall with a pen.
20 post-it notes everywhere around your house.
Yeah, like
you accidentally stumble upon at least one of them.
Super glue that post-it note to your forehead or something. It is always going to fall off and go under a couch, or you know, get blown off and go out a window. Like, it's just, you know, it's funny because when I was watching that and the post-it note fell off, I was reminded of something. The other day I was doing something in my office at work and I dropped something, so I had to move a bunch of stuff to get to this thing that I needed. In actual fact, it was like it was so horrific to have to move all the office furniture to pick up this thing that I needed, that if I hadn't needed it, like I was in the middle of doing something and I needed this thing, if I hadn't needed it, it probably would still be there. That's where it would live now. But while I was moving things around, not in that place, but somewhere else, because I was down on my hands and knees, I found a Post-it note that had like clearly come off something and gone under a cupboard. And I'm reading it and I'm looking at it, and it was like, I think deadline was underlined about 4 times. Yeah, it was like, well, not 1984, but it was like, make sure you do this. Don't forget, it's so important, blah, 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 you know, whatever. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, did I do that? I don't know when the deadline was, but I was like, did I do that? And I have no recollection of doing this thing. And I thought, oh, crap, I better see when this is from. Like, it's sometime between the end of, like, big COVID issues, so, like, 2022 and 2025. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, okay. Anyway, I looked it up and I had actually done it, and I was like, well, I have to, yay, high five me, because I did not remember that. And clearly the Post-it note had fallen off. It did not remind me of shit. So, yeah, I was just reminded of that as I was watching the show, and I'm just like, yeah, Post-it notes do not work, people.
And it fell.
Get a tattoo.
And it filled out right away. Right away.
Right away, yeah, that's right.
Okay, so, there's something that I want to talk about, because, and I want to talk about Tess being, waiting for the tide to, oh no, not Tess, Tele. Waiting by the water, waiting for the tide to recede. Is it the correct way to say it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Remembering things and getting angry and desperate, and I really loved this moment now when I watched it. I mean, yesterday, especially because the first time I watched it, I did not really watch it. The second time, you said I watched it so many times, but I haven't really. I only tried to watch it once when it was airing, and then I watched it when I was sending you those messages, when it really worked for me. And now I'm rewatching it with you, I think. Or maybe one more time.
I thought you rewatched it with Bex as well. You've watched
maybe,
it.
Yeah, maybe that.
You have responded. You have sent me messages 2 different times.
Yes, you're right. Yes, that's right. And with Bex once. I think I'm not sure how thorough that I was those times, but this time I really, as we're doing the podcast and when we're doing this, we tend to watch things a bit differently, to analyze more, to pay attention to more details. And so I really love this moment, the one that I would skip before. I love how he throws his tumbler at the ocean because he's angry with the tide, mad at the ocean. Or the sea, I don't know. What is it there?
I know.
The sea? Yeah.
Yeah, ocean, yeah.
He remembers the most important moments, or I don't know, depending on like his emotions, I guess. He remembered some moments from his and Stelle's life. He notices that note, and he finds out that Quinn fell in love with him in the glass house. And you mentioned it already, and I have these notes, and it's kind of weird, but I want to say it now that I'm talking. I'm just, it's so funny that when they were in the glass house that time, they were playing, right? They were acting. They were trying on these roles that they were going to create for the story that they were writing. And I imagine it like Poon trying on, as he was trying the role, trying the emotion, as trying a piece of clothing, you know? And he saw that it fit him. He saw that it felt good. It felt natural. And he was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to keep it. You know, I'm going to keep this feeling. It works well for me. And he just, continued. He then let himself fall freely. You know, he wasn't a free fall after that. Falling into love.
Yeah, he stopped playing the role and instead started living it.
Yes. And then he remembers that how Poon's dream was to be with him, right? When they meet on that island that he's trying so hard to get to. Poon told him that his biggest dream is to be with him in that other life. And that moment and the way he remembered it and you know the context made it clear for me that he was desperate not because of himself, because you know he was not in that he was in that desperate situation because he was alone or something like that. He was so emotional, he was so angry and desperate to get back because it was Poon's worst fear that got realized, and he knew that Poon was alone again. He was scared for Poon.
He wanted Poon's dream to come true, yeah.
He was scared that Poon's worst fear, like Poon was there alone and he knows what was happening in Poon's life before, you know, they got together. But he doesn't know that Poon changed and Poon is feeling much better now and he trusts him, he loves him, and he is waiting for him. Yeah. And also another thing, I'm sorry, I'm just one more thing, like, and also Talay, you know, the scared of water Talay, almost drowned Talay, now fights his way to the island, indifferent to the prospect of drowning because, you know, he must get to Poon, he must get back to his lover. I love that.
I think the other thing I think about the scene when the flashback for the glass house is, I agree with what you're saying, but I also think as well, like, a part of the story they were writing there, it was definitely like it was what he wanted for them. Like, already in that moment he's already like writing their future, you know, he's already feeling that love, embracing that love, as you said, stepping into the clothes, stepping into the role, living that. And to the point where he, you know, Talay says to him, do you think, you know, they'll end up together or something? Do you think they'll find their way back to each other? And he's like, of course, you know. And with a confidence in that moment that he most definitely did not have then. But he was clinging to it, like, now, you know what I mean? Like, it was, he had that confidence because he said he believes in, he believes in their love, believes in each other. The other thought I had while that scene was happening that I kind of felt was a bit heartbreaking, and by that scene I mean the one with Talay on the beach, is the fact that it would suck not to be able to take anything back with you. Like, you know, like Poon gives Talay the hourglass, you know, for a reason. Like, it means something, you know. And to not be able to take things like that, like, it kind of becomes a little bit like torture to him at the end there. But like, if you hadn't had that experience, like if you were able to just like pack your bags one day and go back, like, and you go back and nothing has come with you, you've built memories, you know, I mean, I know belongings are just belongings, right? But he picked that out, like, it means something. There's history attached to it. There's, you know, it would bring you joy when you saw it. It would, you know, like those sorts of things. And also it means something to them in a way that no one from their world would ever understand. Like, it's a visual representation of their, you know, joined experience, I guess. So like, in the beginning, when we started to see that scene and he was playing with the hourglass and stuff like that, and he was remembering about what he said when he gave it to him and things like that, I was thinking, wow, that would really suck. But then at the same time, later on, it becomes this obsessive kind of almost like time's running out. As I said, like a painful thing, like a traumatic thing almost, that it's like in his desperation to, as I said, get to Poon so that he wouldn't be alone. And then I started thinking, well, maybe that's actually, maybe it's a relief not to take anything with you. Like, because it's like you leave that baggage behind. You know what I mean? Like, you leave the bad behind along with the good, you know, then you can make more good. And so I thought that bit was really kind of interesting, the way he did that. Um,
One more thing. Isn't it funny
yep.
that sailor man was there? Like, Tale was like ready to throw hands with the ocean. He was ready to drown just to get to
Yeah,
that
yeah.
island. And that guy in the middle of the night appeared, out of nowhere, being like, no, don't do it. I will take you to the island.
I know, right? Do you know the other thing that I really liked? I thought was very poetic about this scene too, was the way he fell asleep. So, like, he
it was very
basically,
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the way he sort of like he when the guy said to him, "I'll take you," like the it's not like the fight went out of him and acceptance or whatever, but like relief, I guess. Like he could rest now because like the battle had been fought and he'd won to a certain extent. And so he was so exhausted, and the way he just like fell asleep in the water. As you said, someone who drowned, someone who
was afraid
just
of water.
Yeah, afraid. Yeah, that's right. And who just like, but to let the water, kind of like not wash his fears away, but like just be this conduit to like where he goes, which is exactly what happens. He dreams and then he goes back. But it's like, it's almost like he had to let himself go. Like he had to like let go of the frustration and the fear and the anger and all that to be able to actually like he didn't physically have to go to the island to make it happen. He just had to be in that right place. Like for him and for his story, like for him to be able to go back, that those things had to happen. But yeah, the bit where the bit where he finds the hat, where Pun finds the hat, I really like. I think I've said this a bunch of times. I mean, C's a really good actor, don't get me wrong. But there's just something that Jimmy does with his face. Like, he's such a good, like, micro expression actor. Like, he does this thing with his eyes and with, like, I don't know. He did the same thing in Last Twilight a bunch and it destroyed me. We won't get into that. But in that scene, like, the recognition, the realization that they had met before, that like putting the two, like he, like obviously they'd had the conversation about the hat and stuff like that before and that, but like just that moment where he really kind of like had the complete visual in his mind because now he knew what Tale actually looked like, and he was reminded of it, and he was holding this physical connection, I guess, between the two of them.
Real red.
Yeah, it became real, but also it became like you could like there was all these emotions that came into his like on his face and his eye, and it was like brief, like tiny little moments of just like brilliance where it was like kind of not fear is the wrong word, but like I'll try and work out what the first emotion is in a minute, but like there's something initially, and then there's like this kind of like not quite recognition, but sort of, and then definitely recognition, and then a little bit of joy, and then a little bit of pain, and then like there's all the like, and it happens in like 2 seconds. Like it's just like it's so quick, all these emotions that tunnel through, and it was done really, really well. Like you see like a few little of these emotions, and then they show you like what happened back then, and then him remembering it, and then again a few little bits of these emotions, and I thought it was such a well shot, well edited, well acted scene for what it was, because it's, as you said, it's like it's suddenly there's this connection. He's reminded, he's there's this acknowledgement of yes, from the beginning there was something there, because you can see from the beginning, even though he's so in his own, like when they very first time they meet, he's so in his own head. I mean, they both are. They're both so like kind of self-focused. One in like his career and the other one in his despair. And yet in that moment they are in that moment together. You know what I mean? Like, and you see Pun is like,
That was so beautifully said.
He-
Self-focused one
think-
on his career and the other one on his despair. And like you said, and I'm like, oh, it is so pretty.
it's like brain
I
orgasm.
need to write it down.
But like you can see Pun thinks he's cute and sweet and kind and like, who is this like fairy creature kind of thing, and Tale is just like, oh, I hope he likes it, like I put everything in this, like it's just, it's very them, you know what I mean? Especially because if you also put how they were when they first met and things like that, like in the other world, obviously Pun was way more like closed off and stuff like that, but he's still like, for Tale, almost from the beginning, even when he was kind of a little bit standoffish and closed off, he still was like, had all his like soft underbelly bits exposed, like that he wanted, desperately needed like something from someone, and Tale was the right person at the right time in the wrong place, like all of those things. But yeah, but the bit with the hat, it was just, and it ties back a little bit to what I was saying before about not being able to take anything with you, because of course we know that Tale made them new hats and stuff like that, and none of that got brought back. There's all these things, and so like it was such a nice moment to see the hat. It's not at all how I thought the hat would show up. I knew the hat was coming because you had like left me weird animal noise message about it. I
think I left you wild messages in episode 9. I don't know if it was this one, but yeah,
I actually think it was both, because like when he made them the new ones, you definitely did then, but I think also you were like, because I think you hadn't watched this episode for like a long time since when you first watched it, I think, and I think when you sent me messages that first time, you were like, oh, I forgot about that. Like it was like you'd forgotten about the hat or something, and you were like, oh. And so yeah, I really liked that they brought the hat back into it. I liked also the way how it had like, it's funny, it had fallen down and been separated from like all of the crazy fan stuff.
9 or 10.
Because, sorry?
9 or 10. I'm not sure if it was episode 9 or 10.
What's 9 or 10? Oh, the weird animal screaming ones. I don't remember either, but yeah, I definitely remember you talking about the hats and that, because you kept going, one's got this on it and the other one's got that on it, and I was like, wait, what are we talking about? But yeah, and so I liked how it had like, even though it had fallen on the ground, like it almost looked like it had been discarded, but it hadn't. Clearly it had just fallen off the shelf. It was all lit up, was bathed in like soft pink light, and also it was separate from like the crazy fan stuff because it didn't belong there. You know what I mean? Like it was
crazy
more
fan
important
stuff.
than that. But you know what I mean? Like, well, not the crazy fans. Like, it's not crazy fan stuff. It's not crazy to give stuff to your artist if they want it. But it's like I know a lot of them really appreciate it. But it's just, I mean, like, there's a big difference from getting something from a fan and someone you love. Like, so that's all I meant by that. And I don't mean crazy fan stuff, because it was like pictures of himself and stuff, like, which I think is kind of weird. I will admit, I think that is weird when fans give actors or musicians or whatever like pictures of themselves. I think that's bizarre. But that's just me. But that's because I wouldn't want a picture of myself. That's
surrounded by hearts.
Me. Sorry, yeah, surrounded by hearts, yeah. Or like, that's been turned into a meme or something. And it's like, oh, gee, thanks for this big giant cardboard cutout of me, like, picking my nose, or like, whatever, I don't know. But
I was like, drinking water almost.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Should do a warning at the beginning. Do not drink water in case you want to snort it out your nose. Spit it somewhere. But yeah, that's kind of what I meant by crazy gifts, is more like the kind of gift and the actual intention behind it. Because I think it's cool. I really do like the way. No, I do. I feel like I remember when we were watching. God, I can't remember now what it was. But there was all this, because like in Thailand, I think it's really cool actually. The fans like send food and support and like other stuff like that, because the actors don't always get paid a lot or whatever, and so like to get stuff like that from the fans is really nice, because it's a good show of support if they're tired, but also it's like it's food, they need food, right? Like I think that's great. And so like I remember there was I think it was Gaywin actually, I remember got something for something. He was on some set for something and he'd got his like first like food support, and it was just like an Uber Eats or something, and he posted about it on I don't know, Twitter or Instagram or something. And he was like, thanks so much. And I was like, oh my God, somebody get him a food truck. He deserves one. So like, I'm like fully behind that. I think that's like the best thing ever. And I love when they do that. So, now that we've established fan gives good, let's move on.
Okay. Okay. Yes. So Tale gets back. Do you notice that the first thing that he hears is some knocking? And what was your first thought? Did you think it was Poon knocking on his door? I'm pretty sure that would be my thought. I don't remember what it actually was. But considering that Poon kept knocking on Tess's door.
It's his mother. I think I kind of assumed it was going to be the mother. It was weird, actually. I must admit, this episode was there was a few things that happened that were a little bit weird for me, and one of them was the fact that it was revealed that he lived with his mum and his brother, because I didn't realize that at the time. Like, I did not realize that he lived with his family, and so, I mean, it may have been mentioned somewhere, but I don't remember it. And so, like, when Poon meets Tess and it's revealed that, he's like, oh, my mum and brother are going to be home soon, you need to leave or whatever, I was like, huh? And so I think because it was really in my mind there, like I had been thinking about the fact that he lived with his mom, that when the knocking happened, I just assumed it was her. I didn't really think of it like as the fact that it could have been him. I mean, probably if he'd lived on his own, or maybe I already knew that he was living, you know what I mean? Like maybe I might have assumed Poon as well, but because I was like kind of, not hyper focused, but like it was something I wasn't expecting, so it was in my brain already. I just assumed the mother.
Isn't the scene where they meet so pretty? She cries prettily. It made me very emotional, his interaction with the mom, actually. I did not expect it for myself.
This was a really good scene as well. Yeah. I actually really liked I really liked C's acting, but I also really liked the actress playing his mother as well, because soft. I thought she did that. She gave that really nice, I don't know, like I felt like you could feel the warmth through the screen, like she was perfect motherly instinct, where she was just like, she was completely baffled as to why her child was behaving like this, but she was also like not going to turn him away. And that's what I said, I think that's why like Tess couldn't really like ruin that relationship, because I don't think she would have let it, you know what I mean, let him do that, because she was too much of a loving mother, I guess, like she was just like, oh, did you have a nightmare sort of thing? She's like, what's going on? She's just like, oh, my poor baby, you want a hug? Okay, let me give you a hug. Like, it was so warm, and I felt it was such a nice moment between them. It had really good chemistry.
Yeah, and she saw him cry, and she asked him, I think, that like, did you wake up from a nightmare? Which got me thinking, look at the difference of the contrast of what Poon experienced when he came back to what Talay experienced. For Talay, he woke up, he was home, this nice vibe, warm, atmosphere, his mom being nice to him, he's in his room, everything is cool,
Surrounded
everything
by
is so
warmth.
good. Yeah, and while Talay wakes up and she asks him, did you wake up from a nightmare? For Pun, it was like he woke up, like he ended up in a nightmare.
Yeah. He woke up to a nightmare.
Yes.
Mm.
So
yeah, it's a very interesting difference in that too.
Yeah, and the first thing, like, Talay did not even need to look into a mirror. He had his glasses, he got basically his identity back by putting his glasses on and connecting with his mother. Well, for Poon, it was very traumatic. It was traumatic for me while watching it. Being traumatic for him.
It was very traumatic. And actually, I'm glad that you pointed out the difference because, like, obviously I noticed it, but I didn't notice it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't put the two together because one happened, you know, right at the beginning of the episode and the other one happened towards the middle or end of. So I was thinking about it, but I hadn't drawn the two parallels between that, and it's very clever the way they did that. And it makes sense too, because there is a reason why before they fell in love and everything, Tale wanted to go back. He wanted to go back because his life was good. It's just he wasn't living it.
Yeah. He's not appreciating it.
You know? Yeah. And so it wasn't a shock to me that he came back that way, but it was good that they did that. And it was the funny thing as well too is that even though he came back and it was warmth and his mum was there, it was still traumatic for him initially because he's still, like, he came back but, like, Pun still isn't there. Like, he didn't wake up and Pun's not by his side sort of thing. So there was still a hint of that too. I mean, that's part of, I feel like, that when he cries with the mother, it's like he's so relieved to see her and everything. He's relieved to be back. He's all of that, but it's still not right. Like, it's still, like, there's still fear in that. There's still, like, anxiety, and, like, it's not, they weren't joyful tears, you know, like there was trauma there, like, as well as relief.
Okay, well, I don't know. I think there were joyful tears. I think he was hopeful, even with Boone. I think this is why we get that deceitful. Deceitful? Is it correct to say deceitful?
Because I don't know what you're referring to. So
they deceived us with that scene that, you know, Talay imagined. When he imagined
that because I went, this is way too easy.
Yes, because this is what he expected. He imagined that, he fantasized that, he thought that was what would happen, but suddenly, like, in his, you know, warm, beautiful home world, he realizes that it's not that simple if you really want to have Poon in your life.
Oh, don't get me wrong. With the tears and the crying, towards the end, I definitely think there was joy. It was, like, not at all what I was saying, but in the beginning, I do think there was fear and whatever. But yeah, I agree. That scene, man, like, that scene happened, and I was like, this is too easy. And I was like, this is not how I thought it was going to go. I was like, where is the misery, right? Like, there's meant to be misery. I know there's misery. Mirella told me there was misery. Where is the misery? And then that happened, and I was like, oh, he imagined it.
Yeah.
And
very rude
and so
of them.
It was like, yeah, and then I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I was like, and then we got the reveal about Tess and the money and the whatever and the drama, and I was like, yeah, well, so... okay, he was a dick always. That was when I came to that realization. So I was really, as I said, by this point I was like, okay, well, this was not at all how I expected, you know, things to play out. Like, I expected, and I wonder if this is going to happen this is the stuff that you asked me to talk about earlier. I wonder if it's going to happen in the next episode, because I had in my mind that, like, essentially we see them come together, which we'll talk about for a minute, but, like, we see them get together again at the end of this episode. They reunite, and like theoretically
Mm-hmm.
everything should be like, flowers and kittens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or puppies if you're not a cat lover.
Mm-hmm.
But reality is not that simple. um you know Pun is famous. There
Mm-hmm.
is clearly, unfortunately, because of Tess, drama in their
Mm-hmm.
past, like in terms of like publicly,
Mm-hmm.
and it can't be smooth sailing. So there has to be probably more drama, I'm guessing, next episode. But at the same time, I don't know why I expected it to more or less be here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because it's episode 11, right?
Mm-hmm.
I expected episode 12 not to bring the drama, but I suspect there's going to be some more drama. Because how do they fit now in this world? Like, they fit together. They fit together, you know, brilliantly. They fit together in the old world. They just fit together. But how do
Mm-hmm.
they fit together here? Like, how do they make it work here?
Yeah, because
Is the
it's
real question.
complicated. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, as you said, Tadei tries to build his life over from scratch, and he tries his best to get to Pun, and he doesn't want to cause drama, so he's being very, you know,
Cautious,
respectful
careful.
and cautious. You're right. And he starts doubting because, of course, he does. Of course, he does. And you know that scene with the fan service after the movie? That is like, that's a
Yeah.
very interesting thing. It's very, interesting for me that they decided to include that because, look, if for an established relationship, even for an established relationship, I feel like that kind of interference can be problematic and can cause drama over time. But imagine a relationship, like for them it's very new now because they're in the original world where they haven't met each other, by being real themselves, really themselves. And so it's like delicate. You don't know, like, they are yet to meet and to provide this security to each other, establish and reassure each other, but that everything that happened between them was real and that they still want each other in their lives, even in this lives. Like, even though they promised it to each other in their previous life, they still kind of need to do this in this one, so to feel better. And this is a very delicate situation, and now he's trying to get to Prince's world and get close to him, and there's no space for him. And to see the fan service and like see the person that you're in love with and you're not sure about what's happening, or maybe this is a new relationship, maybe you just sympathize with each other, maybe you cannot really trust this. I'm not talking about today, but overall, and to see that person being shipped hard with someone else,
look,
that
I
must
think
not feel
it would
good.
be very difficult. I mean, in the BL industry, especially in Thailand, it would not be easy to be in a relationship with someone, especially someone who's in a long-term like ship. Like you could, even if you became really good friends with the ship partner or like whatever, and like you completely 100% trust them, maybe they're dating as well, whatever, it's still not going to feel good to hear other people think that like your person should be with someone else. And if that you were to be found out about them to be making judgments based on like, oh, they shouldn't be with this person, they should be with this person, or like, and reality would be that that that's crap or whatever, but like that doesn't matter when you hear those things. So yeah, as you said, being in a position, I thought that too, where you have they haven't like had that moment where he knows for sure that he even wants to see him again. Like, for all he knows, as you said, it that feeling was for that place and doesn't exist here.
Yeah.
So it's, and also like as well, it's a hard realization too, to even if you did want to be with that person, you would have to be a really, as I said, I think you'd have to be a really special, strong, understanding person to be able to see your lover play those kinds of roles it's one thing to see your lover playing a loving relationship or whatever, intimate scenes or whatever with someone in a TV show or a movie or whatever, because you know it's an act, right? But when the act is being continued in reality, like that's hard. Like that's,
Unless
that's I could not be that person. Like
unless
the partner.
unless you're one of those people where you're like, it's fine, my boyfriend is with my boyfriend. They let me watch. It's my boyfriend's boyfriend.
The other day.
She
Like,
sent
this
me
is
a
my
message.
boyfriend's boyfriend.
We were talking
Yeah,
about
look,
cheating, and she sent me a message and she said that, and I about died. Seriously, I was like,
Well, I mean, I'm a fairly
that's my
open
boyfriend's
person,
boyfriend.
and I'm like, I'm like a little bit anything goes. So me personally, probably I'm talking about like in general when I'm saying it would be really hard. Me personally, yeah, I'd probably be like, this is my boyfriend and this is my boyfriend's boyfriend.
It's fine. They let me watch.
I'm like, you should see them kiss. It's really nice. They sometimes let me watch. No.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think like, like what I'm saying is like, if you were not someone who had a lot of self-confidence or like even if you trusted everybody, it would just not be a comfortable place to see that being played out in. And so to not even have any of those like confidences and confirmations, that scene was rough.
Yes, and it can affect your confidence over time, and resentment could build. So yeah, it can be complicated.
No.
But Poon is trying his best to let Tale know that he's waiting for him. He does that, but including the music that is connected to their past.
Well, he even says.
He even says that.
Like,
yes.
He hopes this person will come back to him. And I'm just like, when he got up and he was all like, jealous and fearful of the girl, or like the whole kind of, fan service thing in that. And it's like, dude, he literally just told you, like, where are you going? I was like, how dare you? I must admit, when Tale was leaving the theater as well, I half expected, they had that whole moment where he stops on the stairs kind of thing, and I was like hoping or like expecting to see Poon see him, and like obviously he couldn't have just gone after him because, well, stuff. He was busy at the time, but like I kind of wanted that moment, and we didn't get it, which is fine because I think the way they did it is way better. But I was just like, to me, it actually would have been very cliche if they'd done that, because I have seen it done a bunch of other times, where the person is like in the crowd and they go to leave and then they get spotted, so it would have been kind of cliche if they'd done it. But like he did the whole thing where he like paused. And I was like, I'm here. It's like, was he hoping that he would see him? Maybe.
Maybe. But when he realizes that he watches the interview where Poon basically says, Tale, I love you, I'm waiting for you, where are you, get to me please.
Yeah, well, he says it. Yeah, he says it. Yeah.
Yes, so he tries to get back to the
Oh
cinema.
no, that's right, that's why he says the thing about that I'm waiting for him to come back or whatever.
Yeah.
When he's listening in the cafe. Yeah, that's why he goes after.
Yeah, but it's too late. And he's not there. So he wanders around, gets lost or something.
I love the friend though. I love the friend though in this bit. She's like, but I got you a poster of him. Isn't he cute? Like, this boy is like dying right now.
I don't want the poster. I don't want the real thing.
She's like, I've got a picture. You can totally make it out with it. She's like, that's what I'll be doing later. I mean, she didn't say any of that, but that's totally what she would be doing later on. But it was just like, I was like, oh, he's like dying, and she's just like, oh, he's so cute. Look at this poster. I was like, wow, way to read the room, girl.
And then they meet in the glass house.
Yes.
You predicted it, haven't you? I think you predicted it. I asked you at some point how you think they would meet in the real world, and I'm pretty sure you guessed it would be in the glass house. So good
I'm
job,
going to take your
Zoe.
word for that because I don't remember what I said 10 minutes ago. So it's very likely that I said something like that.
If someone
Yeah,
listened to our podcast and remembers if something like that happened, please let us know. I'm curious. Makes Zoe and me feel better. Make us feel good.
Like, we don't remember. Yeah. It's funny actually because it not funny, but like it makes sense. It's full circle, isn't it? Especially, I must admit, I did wonder briefly when the whole bit with the reveal of like I fell in love in the glass house thing happened as to whether or not that scene would come into play. But then I also, a bit like Tale, was like, does it exist in this world? You know? So it was a brief thought that I had.
Yeah, but
and then
I'm sorry, I haven't finished with that.
that's okay. And then when he kept sort of getting roadblocked, you know, like he went to go and see him, there were fans. He got the stink eye from the manager. Like there was when the things kept sort of coming between him and Pun. I wondered if he would go to this place. I half expected Pun to actually be there already because I think either not the first scene in the glass house, but the one where they go back after they've kind of fought or whatever. When he goes there, isn't Pun already there? And then they kind of make up and start like being friends again or whatever. Yeah. So I kind of half expected when he walked into that place, like when he first arrived there, I was like, oh, he's going to be inside there, you know, because he'd already left and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But then when the guy came out and started trying to lock up and was all like, he was like, I just want to have a look. And he's like, and he thought about it and he was like, yeah, all right. I thought, well, he can't be in there because he wouldn't be locking it up if the other guy was in there. But I, like, initially when he first pulled up to it and he was like, oh my God, it exists here, I was like 100% like Pum was going to be in that place. So I wasn't surprised when he turned up. But
well, they switched places.
Like,
because remember in that scene that they played that Boone mentioned as the moment he fell in love with Talay, he was the one who was in the glass house. And what were they doing? They were imagining a moment when some lovers that were separated meet again after a long time of being apart, right? And so he was the one who was who was waiting for Talay to call me, and he looked at him and he was like, oh, okay, I'm in love. And this time it was Talay, he was the one who felt all that, you know. Pun went through that already, and now it was Talay's time to go through that and actually leave that moment with Pun.
I liked that. I also really, the thing I loved about this scene, well, there were several things I loved about this scene, but I love that they brought the glass house back just because it's a beautiful setting. That's the first thing. But the other thing is, I really liked how he came in. He was so like
vulnerable.
Well, yeah, but like initially he was just like, oh, Tale, you know, and then when he was like, when Tale couldn't say anything initially, he was like, oh, Tess, you know, like he just accepted it, you know, like he was.
It's like he went through that so many times that he kind of started losing hope.
He was kind of used to it. But he hadn't given up. So even though when he was like, oh, I'll leave you, he still wasn't like down and out. He was just like, it's not this time. Do you know what I mean? But I love that they brought back the dang thing because I had forgotten about that. And it was so obnoxious.
Fuck.
And it was like right at the beginning of their like meet and greet kind of thing where they essentially really didn't like one another, or at least Tale didn't like him, and he was so obnoxious. It was all that, but like the fact that he like remembered this random thing that happened after they got really drunk, and you know, remembered it was important enough for him to not say anything else but that, like, and just the way that once again, hats off to Jimmy and his acting, the way his face just crumbles, you know, like he's just like yeah, it was the timing, everything in that scene was done so well.
I wrote down, fuck romance, he must stay consistent to his character.
Yeah. But it is romantic, that's the thing, like it's like this random thing that was said. You know, I mean, I don't remember what I said 10 minutes ago, but like, even if, you know, I can guarantee if I met the love of my life tomorrow and we had like a weird, you know, initial first meeting, especially after being drunk the night before, and then fast forward, you know, like what, 2 years or whatever it's meant to be, and all this other stuff has happened, you know, so much development in my own personal, you know, whatever, and, you know, so many sweet words uttered, and like, you know, memorable moments and traumatic moments, and all of that has happened in between. There's no way I'm remembering some random lame thing, like joke that I said to him, you know, like, or her at that moment. Like, I'm just not. I'm never gonna do that. It's romantic that he remembers that. It means that every moment that they spent together from the very first moment they met meant something and was worth remembering.
You know what I love about them? If it's like, I don't know, you decide if it's romantic or not, probably, yeah. First thing they do when they meet, they decide to go to a love motel to fuck. Good for them.
Literally wait for this. I literally wrote down, where was it? Hang on. What did I write? Haha, Put is basically like, so sex in our real bodies, yes or no? like he was like, should we do this or what? And Talos like, you dirty perv, and then
let's
like,
do it.
He's like, yep, let's do it. I mean, like, you know, fair, because like you'd want to know. I would anyway.
Yes,
but
doing the devil's tango. They've been waiting long enough. 3 years. 3 years, Zoe.
Because they didn't do it in the other bodies, did they?
Yes, no, they didn't. They didn't.
No. No.
Do you think
Which
there's also like an agreement they did? First thing we do when we get back, we go and fuck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would be weird, I suppose. Like,
to make or not to make the agreement?
No, like to have actually had sex while being in other people's bodies.
Oh yeah. Although,
I mean, I think it's one of two things. I think to have sex for sex purposes would be weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate the term because it gives me like hives and makes me want, like, I low-key gag and vomit a little in my mouth every time I hear it / say it or read it, is make love. There was like, I guess like it was an emotional thing and not necessarily a physical thing, like driving it, where it was about a connection between them, you know, emotionally. You're not really paying attention to the bodies. Maybe that would be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely think it's weird because it's not your body, so it's like, I don't know. Like, it would be one thing if it was like a Freaky Friday moment and they switched bodies, and then you could have a conversation about like, shall I put my part in your part or whatever. But like, and then, here's a really interesting conversation, totally deviating off the topic, but perfect for the podcast. Especially because BL lovers love top and bottom conversations. What would happen? Now just go with me for a second. What would happen if you switched bodies and the top is now in the bottom's body and the bottom is now in the top's body? Who tops in that situation?
Well, you know, Afghan kind of did it in Puppy Honey. Remember?
Sorry?
Their special episode, their Puppy Honey special episode
did.
of them switching bodies. But I don't remember if they really, you know.
It's kind of implied that they do, I think, from memory. And I believe that it's still off, or not off, because that's not the character's name. Excuse me, everybody. What is the character's name?
Peak and Rome.
Oh yes, Rome. Rome? No,
Yeah.
Rome is Gun. Pick, I believe it's still Pick's mind who is the top. So it's Rome's body that tops. But I feel like, I don't know. I'm trying to imagine that without like imagining it. I'm not being the dirty perv. I'm just trying to mentality.
Pervert Cards returned.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to validate my pervert card. Keeps getting snatched from me. But the I guess I'm thinking from a mentality standpoint. If you're someone who's versatile and you don't care one way or the other, then this is a moot conversation. If you're someone who really is like, fixed in a position because of like really serious preference or past trauma or like whatever, then would you be able to disassociate your mind from your body? Do you know what I mean? Because like you might not want to be put in a different position mentally where you're in that other position, but also do you want that happening to your body as well instead? Like it's just it's an interesting thought thing.
I think
You know,
you cannot
thought puzzle.
You cannot predict how you'd react when put in such a situation. Like, you really cannot know.
Also, yeah, and I think intrinsically, like most of us, like if we're being honest, we're a little bit like kind of perverted, and so you as you said, you don't know like what's the situation. Is it like a full-on love romantic thing, and you're just like in the moment, or are you like, hey, this is the one opportunity where I could just like go and like try something different?
If all of us are perverted, then means no one is perverted, and that is just normal. It's like the conversation with the kink, you know. I feel people use the word like kink in to describe too many things. Oh, yeah. Everything is a kink. No, it's not a kink. It's just a normal thing to do when you are in a relationship.
Yeah,
like, people try things.
A preference or a, like, yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think the other thing as well is like too many what do you call it? Too many stigmas are attached to things that aren't kinks. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can't do that because it's like, you know, XYZ. And it's like, really? Oh my God, really? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because my brain just works differently to other people. And I just feel like, you know, I don't really care what people do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a bit like, if it feels good and you're not hurting anybody, then I don't even really think it needs to be called a kink, because it's just what you like, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We have lots of pervert cards. Like, we have to spare. Does anyone want any?
Yeah, right. Like, oh my goodness, I'm stocking up because like,
in case one of them gets revoked.
Oh God!
Again,
yeah, in case something gets revoked.
Okay. Well, let's get back. I have a question.
Yeah. Sorry.
Have you noticed the reference? Have you noticed the reference to "Not Me" when they were talking to each other? Oh,
what?
Tale, and before they started making love, they were talking to each other about disappearing on each other and, you know, promising not to leave each other again. And they repeated White's and Sean's word to word from the moment when they make up after the separation. Yeah, I don't want you to disappear on me again, said Sean, right? And this is what Tale says. And then Poon answers, I will not leave you again, I promise. Which is something that White says.
No, I didn't. But they did do that a lot in this show, didn't they?
They did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this director did work with Afghan. And, I mean, it doesn't seem like much. You might not even notice, but people who watched... because it aired after Not Me, right? Not a long time after Not Me, and people who are watching, they noticed it. The Not Me
even
fans.
even the like scene, you know, when they first got that office, they were working on the rooftop, and there was a scene where it was shot up, and it was like a white room on top of the building, and it was so reminiscent to that like space where White and Sean spend like a chunk of their time.
Yep.
And I remember people talking about that a lot as well, about the connection to Not Me through that. So no, I didn't even notice. I was just so into the like they're totally gonna do it mindset. Because it was so funny because no, it was just so sorry. It was so funny because you know, it starts off, even though they basically, as you said, they're in a love motel, it's still sweet, like the way it starts off. And then I think Quinn says something, I can't remember what he says, and he kisses him on the forehead. And then Talia said something about not feeling, I don't know exactly what he says, but like he Quinn's response is basically like, do you need me? Should we like, let's have sex, basically.
Mm-hmm.
To which, as I said, Tully's response is all scandalized for like 10 minutes, and then he's like, yeah, all right.
And then
like,
they
let's do
make
this.
love. They love. And they're surrounded by pink, if I'm not mistaken, right? Finally.
Yeah, pink and pale blue.
Mm-hmm. And it was pretty. I wish that the kiss was filmed a bit more dynamically, because it was just one camera, it was static. It was very pretty, but at the same time, I'm expected more from the cinematography. The colors in this series is so beautiful, but it does suffer sometimes from the not enough camera angles, I guess.
Yeah.
And here,
I mean, I wonder if...
Yeah.
I wonder if that's like the dreaded GMM like budgetary thing, because they just don't invest. I feel like...
I think it is. It must be.
So, and it's sad, really, because you can see other shows that have like a crap budget, like you just know, and they do so much more with what they have. Once again, going back to Revenge Love again, like that was a show that apparently had such a teeny tiny, eeny meeny bitty like
budget, and they spent half on snakes probably.
Yeah, probably. But there was like, they did so much with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, you know what I mean? Was it perfect? Was it all like amazing shots and like, great camera work? Not all the time, but like, I didn't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I didn't notice it in a negative way.
Mm-hmm. Whereas
you do sometimes the GMM, as you said, you notice that like
they settle.
There's a hole here for some reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They still do.
Mm-hmm. It's like this is our brand. This is how we do things.
Yeah.
We can do better. It could have been so fucking beautiful, this scene at the end. I mean, it's still pretty. The actors did an amazing job, but it could have been so much more than that.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where you can see how, like, even time changes the way things are done too, because like, the intimacy, and I'm not talking about like full explicit scenes that we get a lot of these days, but I mean like just even the intimacy, the way intimacy is shot has changed, especially if we're deviating away from GMM and we're looking at other companies, other directors and stuff like that, and so other cinematographers. So like this same scene shot by a different company, different director, now could have been like so different,
or maybe but the same director, same company.
Yeah, I do think, I feel like even if you didn't go away from GMM and you still had I can't think what his name is, you still had him directing it, it would probably be a lot different.
EX, I think,
because and also the relationship between C and Jimmy has evolved as well. So what they're comfortable with and their chemistry, and
C has
like
much
that
more
has
experience.
Changed.
He was like very new to acting in this series.
Yeah, that's right. So they're both matured as well. So of course it would feel different for sure. So I mean, I think that's the
But like, it would have been.
It's funny.
I'm sorry.
It's funny, we've had a conversation before about like remakes and stuff like that, and whether or not we're fans of them and stuff, and I kind of have mixed opinions, because sometimes it depends. Sometimes they're good, but usually they're bad, and it's not necessary. There's so many other like great source material out there that you could tap into. But the thing that I often do think would be interesting to see would be to see the same actors, the same director, and like pretty much the same redo a show like 10 years later, or like, you know what I mean, like to see what they would do with it.
I think it works. I think that's a very interesting idea. But I also think it works when you take a bad show and do it better. Taking a good one and remaking it just so like now you're making it, and I don't know. That's just not really enough.
Or whatever.
Not enough for me there must be something really
Which
special
is
about it. For
which
example,
is
of Revenge Law,
yeah
they did remake a
yeah
show
it's
that was bad,
perfect
right?
example. Yeah, perfect example. Yeah, and I actually, for those who listen to our Revenge Love podcast, I actually went and rewatched Counterattack. It's not the name of the show. I can't remember what the version was called. But I found it somewhere and I watched it and I was like, I can't believe it's the same thing. Like, honestly, but yeah, if you're wanting a contrasting experience,
I
you might
don't
get through the first couple of episodes.
I don't know if I'd want a remake or vice versa, though. I think it could have benefited from some more interesting choices in regards to the camera work and some other details. But overall, I think and the product placement when that gets kind of aggressive in the series.
I must admit, they got better as it got along. Like the last couple of episodes for me, it hasn't been like too obnoxious. So like there was definitely product placement in this episode. They did it with the toothpaste, they did it with the cinema ticket, they did it with the chips and the little add-on bit at the end. They did it. There was something else. There was another piece of product placement and I can't remember what it was. And for all of them, none of them really pulled me out of it except for the very last one, but I already knew it was a product placement add-on. So like I was expecting it. But the others didn't really, like, they weren't overly, I just knew, I was aware of what they were doing, you know what I mean? Like, but it wasn't like it was distracting or anything. I do think it would be interesting to see them play these roles again. Like, I do think that would be a fun experiment. This particular storyline, I don't know, but like I would be interested to see, shows that were good, but that you think about how they were shot, how they were made, like, to how they might get done now. I think would be very interesting.
We still have a special episode, and I think, like, depending on the reaction, if people want us to do this, we will consider doing the special.
There a special?
Yeah.
Is there a special episode after episode 12?
An Our Sky episode, or vice versa. Yeah.
Oh, is there? I had no idea. Oh, wait, hang on. Did I? Oh, no, I have seen it. That's so funny. I've seen the special episode for vice versa. That is the only thing I had seen of vice versa. Because, and I do not know why, I was watching the Our Sky episodes for something else, and that one started playing, and I just watched it. But I didn't really understand some bits in it, so this will make more sense now.
Yep.
I think I know how this show ends.
No.
Now, because of the Our Sky episode.
Everyone dies.
No, they don't die. But, interesting. Okay. All right. What I will say is when I was getting to the end of this episode, I really wanted to just keep watching. I was really like, will she be mad if I watch the last episode? And then I was like, and then I realized the time, and I was like, I don't have time actually now to watch both episodes.
Also, the lack of time saved you.
Yeah, I would have struggled. I probably would have. I'm not lying. Well, yeah, I probably would have definitely watched it. I may not have told you, but
that's great.
I would have told you.
That's great to hear. Remember, you were very skeptical regarding this series. I was the one who really wanted to do this, so I'm very glad to hear that this is.
Oh yeah,
how you feel about it now. There was
definitely like arm twisting and like. Yeah, well, I think because I as I said, I feel like there's more misery to come. I want the end. I want the happy ending, and I don't feel like we're quite there yet. Even though it seems like we are. Like this is at the moment they're in a bubble. Once again, like they met. They got together. Like they not got together. They reunited in a literally a glass bubble, and then they've gone somewhere else where they've isolated them in a space where it's just the two of them.
That's right.
It's like fiction at this point. Not fiction, but it's like not reality.
It's like
right?
they're recreating the other world for themselves.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Oh, question for you. Like, because I'm hopeless with the colours, what was Pun's colour back in the day? Was it blue?
Black.
It was black?
Mm-hmm.
What were the lights in Parkour's base, though? Weren't they blue?
I don't remember the lights, but we usually focused on the colors of their clothes, and for example, on the fact that the moment that when it was revealed what he really feels about this world and how he really wants to stay, it was the black episode. I'm having trouble. I was watching. I was having trouble remembering what was the color that we assigned to Tale. Actually, was it like green or something? I really cannot. I can't remember.
I think it was green for Tale.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
Well, that would be cool. That is cool.
I think we made it green. I think it was green, and then I think like just as like in a funny kind of twist of events, it became pink almost, didn't it?
Well, pink is their color together as a couple. As a couple, yeah. But maybe it's white. I don't know. Tell us if you remember. I'm curious. I don't know when exactly we talked about it, but I'm pretty sure we changed our opinions along the way. But yeah, I think this is it for episode 11. Thank you for spending your time with us.
But yeah, guys, feel free to comment and let us know if you're enjoying the podcast. One more episode potentially. Maybe we'll do a poll or something and see if people want us to do the special episode.
Oh yes, we should. Well. Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
All right then.
Like people like polls.
Bye-bye.
Bye.